Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting unboxing. This is, I believe, something that came in through the Apex group. Somebody, one of the manufacturers, shared with our group, and so we can pass it around. So I want to thank the manufacturer as soon as I get into it to see what it is. There's personal information on the other side, so we're just going to open it on this side here. Let's keep my hand away from that blade. That was almost not cool. Today I'm opening up with my Magnese Mac 2 Atomic Finish, the frame lock version, 3.5 inch Mac 2. Beautiful little knife. Love the action on this thing. So what do we have? Oh, we have a QSP. Let's see. Okay, QSP. Is there anything else in the box? Oh, all right. So let's take a look. What do we have in here? Okay. Have a knife day. Let's see what we got. All right. This is... should be in the box, right? Yeah, here we are. This is the Rhino. This is a flat grind gray titanium handle. So let's take a look at this. This is a higher end version from QSP. It's been passed around to the group. See, looks like, is this Damascus or is this? This might be Damascus actually. Okay, interesting. Oh, yeah, it is. I think that's Damascus. Yeah, that's not fire anodized. That's actually Damascus. Yep, you can see that. Definitely layers in there. So it's got an interesting texture on the back here. It's got a flipper. Looks like a front flipper, nice and rounded. Everything's nice and chamfered. This feels a little bit like the Penguin Plus, like the nicer version of the Penguin Plus up here. And then you have the blade here, and this is a beautiful Damascus clip. It's a very dark Damascus clip. Doesn't jump out at the color, so it's a nice golden purple. And the back spacer, which has a unique kind of a milling pattern as this does. It looks more like a thread on a screwdriver. So nice titanium, looks like a dark titanium. I like that. Here's the frame lock right there. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a flip, see how this works. All right, so this is, oh, it looks like a Tonto shaped blade, almost with a clip point, but it's more of a drop point. No, is it clippy? Looks like it might have a slight angle, so it could be considered clip point, but it's a Tonto flat grind, so it's single grind. Nice and sharp, definitely. M390 blade steel. Nice big fuller there. Let's see, what's the grip on here? So I have medium to medium large hands, and this is right at the edge of it. It's a little tight. I was afraid that this would be the case. Yeah, so you're kind of limited in this one. It's going to be kind of difficult to carry if you have large. So my hands are large width-wise and medium length-wise. So large, extra large hands, this doesn't give you a whole lot of room. There's no place to really choke up on there. You're going to be up on the top here. So that kind of limits your target audience. So that's kind of a bummer. The blade finish is really nice. That looks really nice. I love M390. I have the traditional pocket knives, Penguin, Mini Penguin, and Penguin Plus that uses M390 and jig titanium scales. Really nice. All right, so let's see what the action's like. All right. It's a little gritty, so if I were to keep this, let's see how that front flipper works. Okay, is it supposed to be a front flipper? Okay, maybe it's not a front flipper. I don't know what the heck the point of that thing is then. Nope. Okay, it's not a front flipper. So I guess this is just an aesthetic. It's supposed to be like a, looks like a front flipper, but it's not. So don't be misled by this. It's not a front flipper, because, well, you know, you really got to break the snot out of that one. That is not smooth for a front flipper. So if it's a front flipper, this detent is ridiculous. You can reverse flick it with the fuller. Okay, that's interesting. You can sort of slow roll it. It's a little gritty in there. I would definitely want to replace the washers on that. That's kind of disappointing. If this is supposed to be a higher end knife, I would expect the action to be a little bit better. My traditional pocket knives washers were better than this, if this is the higher end version. I like that it's nice and rounded, but it's super sharp right here at the edge, which I wouldn't be expecting for such a high end knife, right? So if you have ferrous rods, you can definitely scrape them with that. If you took this knife out for your ferrous rod, but with the Damascus, I would imagine you probably wouldn't want to. All right, let's see. All right, so it's definitely a push button kind of flipper for sure. You can light switch it if you want to, and go up here like that. But I think the push button works the best to give you the most action. I would say that the detent is really ideal for a flipper. So if it's meant to be a front flipper, you would really have to loosen that detent, and then you could fail your flipper. So trying to do too much, the question is, what's the detent? How should it be tuned? It makes it more difficult. You can definitely reverse flick, right? Can I do it left-handed? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work really well left-handed, and I typically can reverse flick almost any knife, so that's interesting. Okay, we can sort of flip that one out, and yeah, you definitely can't front flip this one. So if this is supposed to be a front flipper, and I don't know the details on this, if it's my first impressions, if this is supposed to be a front flipper, it doesn't work. Okay, this detent is way crazy strong, which means that the flipper that it's almost perfect for just being a flipper only, you're going to lose some of that snappiness, right? So you're going to, because it's not a huge flipper, and the way the flipper is right now, it gives you a nice snappy open because of the detent. But to get that front flipper to work, it's almost like, if you're not going to be a front flipper, just get rid of this nub. That nub is not needed. You can get traction on here. My only worry about this is, as I push down, if I'm trying to use traction, it's pulling my finger off the blade. And it leads me off the blade, which is beautiful on milling patterns on there, because, if you're trying to get a pocket clip in and out, but as I'm trying to push down like this, and if I move my hand up and down, I pull down, it slides my finger off, right? Which is kind of a bummer. I wouldn't really want that. And if I'm doing a reverse kind of thing here, it doesn't really matter at this point. But action, all right, it's a nice cutaway for there. It's a little tight. It's enough relief cut, but it's not quite, it's not bad. It's okay. It's just a little tight in there, tight quarters. But I think that's because the detent is so strong. And boy, that detent is, we're about 50%, so we're definitely halfway there. I like to see a detent when I first get a knife around 20-30%. Don't like 50 or more. I feel like that doesn't give you a whole lot to work with in the future. It does have a steel bar insert with a liner lock, so that's nice, and over travel style. I do like this right here. That's kind of cool touch. I do like that aesthetic. But like I said, this design pattern, if you're using this, and I don't want to, I'm trying to move my hand back, it just, you see, it just pulls my hand off as I'm pulling back. If I push down really hard, it's guiding me off the blade. So if I'm working something really hard, it's going to want to slip like that. So I have a better chance of being back here. I won't really want to be able to go up here. But I guess if you just want light texture, see, even there, it's pushing me off. I can't go straight back, right? Unless I relief, but even then, it's still wanting to push me off. So I'm not a fan of this. It's a nice aesthetic. I don't buy knives to collect. I buy knives to use, and this looks like an aesthetic for something you'd look to, collect just to look pretty. I don't like that. So, there's that. It's really gritty. I'm really disappointed with that. If this is one of their higher end knives, I would expect better action. Traditional pocket knives, the Penguin Plus, was far better out of the box. I did put skiff washers on that, and that was only because I had some and I wanted to try them to see if they fit. And it was as dreamy as it was when I first got it, right? Probably a little bit better, but it wasn't gritty. You can hear that. I feel like there's some rubbing grittiness there, and that's kind of disappointing. It is centered, so that's nice. I love the roundedness up here, but I don't like the really sharp edge here. That definitely should be chamfered. I don't like the pseudo flipper. I think this is supposed to be a flipper, I'm guessing, but the detent is ridiculous. You can't use the flipper. If it is, definitely have to tune that detent to be able to use the flipper. And because this is a pass around, I can't mess with this knife. I got to leave it as is. And so here it is. I can't tune this to try to flip it, and I can't find the magic spot. Okay, there, but let's see. I can't get enough to flip it. So the flipper's useless. The front flipper is useless. The flipper here, perfect detent for just this. If this is a flipper only knife, really nice, but I hate flipper only knives. I like fuller. The fuller works okay on this one. Can't get the fuller. Oh, now I can. Before I couldn't get it to reverse flick, so I guess the trick is, all right, so I got to lay my finger here with no pressure anywhere, and then you can do it. And which I'm not always a fan of, because when you do this, sometimes you can drop the blades. You see, it's not really secure in there, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But it will work as long as you have no pressure on that. So there you go. All right, so this is the Rhino. It's definitely interesting. Let's do some up close so you can see it. We'll do the back. This is probably a little bit better view here. You want to see the Damascus. You can see the back of the blade here. And the design goes all the way around. You can see the blade and the, I don't know, the milling that goes here on the spine of the blade. That's interesting. I don't know. It's different. It has some nice aesthetics, but I mean, it's a good first attempt. There's a lot that I would improve on this for this to be something I would buy and have in my collection and use. Right now, as it is, it looks okay, but it's not usable for me. So that's just my honest first impressions. We'll try to handle this a little bit more and give it an impression review to see if that changes or not. I can't do any tuning. I can't do any messing with this because it's pass around, so I'm going to have to leave it as is and see if that changes a little bit. I mean, like, I obviously just figured out you can do the reverse flick if your thumb is right there perfectly. I've got to have it right there, and which is nice. It's nice and flat, which allows me to be there, but I don't like the fact that it's not as secure as I would like it to be. You know, I like to be able to reverse flick with my hand right up here where it's a little more, and that just doesn't work. And obviously, there's no front flipping. That's front flipper. I know I'm really stuck on this, but because I saw people front flipping this, and man, that freaking hurts. I cannot get this to front flip, so it's useless as far as I'm concerned. I do want to thank QSP for allowing me to test this out. I have a lot of their knives. I love their knives. This one is not one of the ones that I love. I will say it's T8 hardware all the way around, even on the screws, so that is really nice. Like I said, beautiful sand finish on here. Hand satin, not hand satin finish. Well, I don't know if this is hand satin. I wonder if it is. I'd have to look that up, but it's a beautiful satin finish, right? And this looks like I don't know if this is hand satin in here, but it's kind of a nice finish in there. But I do like that. I'm just really disappointed when I break this, it squeaks off the tang of the blade. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's see, listen. So typically, you know, I would put a little pencil lead or something in there if it's carbidized, but this is steel bar on steel, so it shouldn't be squeaking. I don't know if there's oil in there from manufacturing. Again, I would take this apart and clean it and do a bunch of things if it was my knife, but I can tell you I've been not wanting to buy this knife because I was tempted at first, but then when I saw people with their hand, and see, I am right on the edge. This is digging into my finger right there on the edge. I don't really have a full grip. I'm over the edge here, and I don't like that. I do not like that. It's not comfortable. And this clip does dig into my hands pretty sharp, and that's not comfortable. So that's a bummer. I'm glad I got to experience it. I'm glad I have a chance to talk about it. Now, if you have smaller hands, I think you might really enjoy this. You might enjoy some of the features, and if some of these aesthetics are really important to you, you might enjoy that. If you don't care about the milling for the up here for the spine for the jimping, you might really enjoy that. This is not bad. I don't mind this actually. This is beautiful. I do like this, and I like this. I just wish it was a little softer, a little rounded, not as pointy. That's a bummer. That's a miss right there. You know, I like this cutout. I wish it was a little more rounded. It's so square in so many places so that it doesn't flow really well. And I wish, if you're going to do a flipper, I wish that flipper had a little more leverage on here so that when you remove some of the detents so you can actually use the front flipper, it would work fine. If this is supposed to be a front flipper, this has to be tuned better. This either needs to be a little bit bigger, higher, so you can get more leverage, better jimping up here so you can actually make contact and push it, loosen the detent or something, right? You got to figure that out if you're going to offer multiple deployments. Definitely has a few ways to do it. They just don't really work well as far as I'm concerned for the price of this knife. I think this knife runs around $350 or somewhere around there in the 300s, and I think if you get the hollow grind, compound grind, I think it's like close to 400 or over 400. So to me, I'm just not digging that. But it is beautiful, and I got to tell you, I do love the Damascus backspacer. It's always one of those aesthetics that I'm more open to now, later on, than I ever was before. I used to not like any time mascus, but that to me is subtle and nice enough. It's a nice accent, right? It doesn't stand out. The clip is okay. It's a very dark, subdued clip. If I'm going to pay a lot extra for Timascus, I would want it to be something that pops and stands out and is a more contoured and comfortable. This looks like just a milled cut piece that wasn't chamfered. These edges are really sharp. So that's my first impressions. We'll do a full review and discuss it, and like I said, and kind of have more thoughts on it. Feel free to comment down below. What are your questions about this knife? If you were doing an opening, and if you wanted to review it, what are the questions you might have that you'd like me to look at? If you have any questions about this unboxing or just any questions to the channel, please feel free to comment down below. I do try to read them all and respond, and I really appreciate them. Hey, if you like this video, please consider hitting the like button down below. If you've already hit that like button, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Subscribing and liking the channel really, really helps it out a lot. It helps me to grow and be able to do more things and ultimately do more things for you guys. I really appreciate that. And if you've done all that, please consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content. And if you've already done that, hey, check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.